So here we are at the very end of the end game. 1 weekend, 2 games left. A bittersweet end to a tough season. The girls still with the biggest prize of all to play for. A game in which we are as big underdogs as maybe any cup final I can remember. We did famously for my family win the Newcastle final, which was my son's first ever cup final, but somehow as a 7-year-old he got himself a ticket for, but that's a separate story. This weekend past, we had Newcastle, who we owed one, more than one. Eddie Howe's had a bit of a hex over Tats, and they've already beaten us 3 times this season. Isaac often being the difference. He wasn't available, and arguably that again was the difference. We had him here in that League Cup semi-final and somehow missed chance after chance after chance after chance. We weren't as good as that on Saturday in terms of chance creation, and in fact we defended probably far worse. In the first 15 minutes we were dreadful. Raya kept us in it. As we're reaching the end of the season, I start thinking of other sports coming up. I'll be watching some cricket, obviously watching some youth tournaments that my kids will play in, but also England will play in. But it most reminded me, this season I'm going to Silverstone. I'm actually not a massive racing fan, don't know very much about the sport. Well, I didn't. I'm learning much more now that my kids have really got into it. It's funny, my granddad was a huge petrol head. He was trying to get a Formula 1 ride for himself before the Second World War. Anyway, my first live experience of Formula 1 was in the 90s. I went to a party in a flat in Monte Carlo with a roof terrace during the Monte Carlo Grand Prix. So you can see just basically one straightened corner of the track, and the rest you're watching on TV. And I was blown away by the experience, probably primarily by the noise, the amazing, not just the level, the volume of the noise, but the variation, which you couldn't recognise on TV at all. At the beginning of the race, they sound like jet engines fixed to bicycles. It sounds insane. The power seems far too much for such a small vehicle. Bloody, glorified go-kart. And by the end, they sound destroyed. It's a miracle the drivers are getting around the track. They're cranking, gargling and croaking. They sound like the engine is absolutely wrecked. If a vehicle you were driving made the noises those Formula 1 cars made as they went round the track, you'd immediately stop and call the RAC. Another moment, because we only could see one corner. I remember sitting watching this corner, all of the cars going round one by one, and saying, it looked to me like all of the cars are hitting nodes on a line, if you know what that is, like dots, like a dot-to-dot drawing. So they go around the curve and they're hitting points on that curve that they've obviously decided are the fastest line. They all look like hitting nodes, hitting a dot-to-dot drawing. And then there was this one car that went, and his was just a perfect curve, no dot-to-dot, single line, perfection. And I remember saying to the other guys, that guy in the silver car, the way he goes around is really smooth, and the way the others go around is a dot-to-dot. And I got relentlessly taken the piss off. Everyone's like, look, JD's got a breakthrough. Apparently Michael Schumacher's really good at driving. So they all took the piss of me. I didn't know who was who. I felt like our game here at the weekend had elements of both of those. The mechanics of those players, of our players, they are shot. They've done 100 laps. They have been ridden to death. Saka's acceleration, no torque wasn't there. Ben White's mechanics all over the place. Couldn't run properly. He's just out there fighting for the badge. Even Decker's looked like an old Ford T. It was being cranked up. It only actually started going maybe somewhere around the 60th minute. Did the engine kick in and he started to purr. Just after I said, get Deckers off, he can't run. But also, Rice's body shape when he hits the ball. I mean, one of the other things I'm going to be doing is just thought of is going to Wimbledon. It's kind of like a Federer serve. Just the action he puts on the ball. We've all seen that, or many of us have seen that classic ginger cat meme where he's sort of like striking the space, the shape that looks like he's banged the right foot curler. Rice almost like folds in on himself at the end of that follow through. It's an amazing technique, amazing body shape, and he seems to be able to recreate it over and over again. That amazing whip he gets, not just on his dead ball corners, but on open play goals. There's so many of them. The goal that got us back into it at the Bridge last season after a Sanchez mistake. Whether it was 6th goal against West Ham when we gave them an absolute shoeing in that sort of kit that's like this colour, but sort of like this aggressiveness in its pattern. Yeah, there's been quite a lot of them. He loves that whip finish. And yeah, he hits the curve. It's not clunky. It's the opposite of how our players looked athletically and aerobically. They looked shot. But what they did is fight for us and get us there, get us over the line. It was funny to see how angry they were at the end. I've seen that picture of MLS with his mate, Big Dan Burn, trying to kick off. Raya was brilliant in those 15 shitty minutes. We were terrible at the beginning. But as we got into it, they basically didn't really do very much apart from that 15 minutes. Raya was just too good to them, refused to be beaten. It's funny, like my thoughts have changed as the season's gone on about Player of the Year. At the beginning, it was like, well, it's a shoot-off between Saka and Gabriel Magalhaes, but then both of them missed so much of the season that they sort of drop out of contention. Raya was in contention early. I mean, at the beginning of the season, when we weren't at full power, we weren't tired out, but we'd come straight from a Euros, straight from 2 back-to-back seasons, challenging at the top. Thought it took us a little while to get going. And I mean, I remember the amazing Villa double save, a great save against Wolves. Not in the league, but in Bergamo's double save from Retegi's penalty and rebound. Maybe Raya is in a shout for our player of the season. And maybe Deckers is too, you know, with some of his key goals, obviously. The 2 free kicks. Talking of dead ball whip, oh my days. I mean, the first one is more about the whip. That round the ball, everyone's compared it to the Roberto Carlos Tournoir goal, which is a good comparison. The second one is more standard. Brute, power, top corner. Standard genius. But, you know, what we all want from our free kicks. The classic, you know, Cristiano Ronaldo free kick, which, you know, he missed 100 in a row of after scoring a few. I hope Deckers can do some great dead ball goals for us next season. The person who deserves a mention is Leo Trossard, whose touch was immaculate. Even when we looked shitty, he was the threat right at the beginning in those first wobbly 15 minutes. He was the one who took it to Newcastle. Seen plenty of people talking about, you know, the sales we can make and whether Martinelli and Trossard are the players we should let go. I'll be sad to see either of them go. Martinelli, you know, it's the end of the season and he just still works like a Trojan. And Trossard is just such a... he is a bit of a Mardy guy, but he's a fun watch. His touch, his technique. I heard someone else comparing him to Santi Cazorla, and he has that I mean, no one's as two-footed as Santi. Maybe Wesley Sneijder was or something. He's an enjoyable player to watch. I want to keep all of them. I get too emotionally attached. Probably we should sell one of those two. And Leo's the older one, so you should probably sell him. Although Gabby's the one you get the most money for, so my son would like us to see him, sell him. So I was talking about selling Ødegaard. After I'm talking about everyone taking a while to get into it, he was the same. But what Martin has been able to do at the back end of this season, when it's, you know, this is a season, we all know he's not looked himself. We all know he's never recovered from that injury. I think he's played underweight, as I've been saying all along. He is a vital player for us. His level, when he gets back to, he was at 70%, 60%, sometimes 50% this season. But his ceiling, above the 100% he's previously played at, his ceiling is Ballon d'Or level. That's how good I think he is. He is a proper leader. Now, we need leaders all over the pitch. You know, people talk about, I've been talking about potential players of the year. In some teams you could have Raya as captain. You could have even MLS as captain one day. Definitely Gabriel Magalhaes. Declan Rice could end up being the captain of England. The leader of our press is Martin Ødegaard. And the effort he puts in is second to no one. He has now improved his stats a little bit. You know, 4 assists in the final 5 games of the season. Got us scraping and scrabbling over that line for second place. And I don't care what anyone says, I'm going to be going down to Southampton to celebrate that. Second again, Oleo fucking lay. 90 teams out of 92 in the Football League would be delighted with the league position of second overall. We want more. We need to do better. We need Berta to do a real job for us in the close season. We need that big bastard at 9 who can kick the ball hard into the goal. And that big bastard might be starting on the bench, because Kai Havertz, what he offers to a team, the best near post defensive headers of a ball I've seen. Drogba, Giroud, Shearer are as good at that job as anyone. As good at Adams and Bowl, Keown could all do that job brilliantly, but those strikers were just as good. Put Havertz in that bracket. He's brilliant. One of the reasons we've been a bit less good on dead balls at each end has been the lack of Kai. He could be a huge weapon for us next season. We need depth. I'm so jealous of Palace. What a performance. We're not going to talk about whether Hendo should be sent off. Eze, gorgeous, glides across the pitch. Would have loved us to sign him as an option in last summer. I think maybe again this summer. A glorious player. Mateta could have been a bloody good option for the 9. Big bastard who can kick it very hard, holds the ball up well, 2 feet good in the air. Mateta's a little bit old now, probably. We're going to need multiple bodies. I'm jealous of Palace. I want us there in the FA Cup final. I want us to be able to challenge in domestic cups, as well as our primary targets, which of course have to be Champions League at least. Anyway, that's a tag on at the end of the video. I'm going to do a separate one, as I said, about the girls, the big underdogs against Barca Feminine, and another one about the minutes all our boys have played. Come on, the Arsenal.